Somewhere between the edge of being alive and feeling dead.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This video we are going to talk about long distance driving, in this case a drive from Prince George, British Columbia across 4 provinces into Manitoba, the Pas, Manitoba. It's in the north section of the province, and we used the Tesla supercharging network as much as we could, but there were a few sections where that wasn't possible, and later on in the video you're going to see the last section going from Prince Albert, Saskatchewan to the Pas, Manitoba. There was about 350 kilometers. I had to do it in a single charge because there's no charging infrastructure there, and part of that was down a gravel road, and you're going to see some interesting things around Tesla's projected range versus what you actually get. Long story short there is you lose a lot of range on gravel roads. You need to prepare for that, and I'll talk about some strategies around that a bit later here in the video. Thanks. Alright, we're just about to head out here, and as you can see, heading across 1, 2, 3 into 4 provinces. Charged up to 99%, and we'll see how this goes. Hey everybody, so in the first part of the drive we went from Prince George to Jasper, and in between I did charge at 2 different locations briefly, in McBride on the BC Hydro 50 kilowatt charger, and then at the Terry Fox rest area also on a 50 kilowatt charger. The Terry Fox rest area was free, and McBride, I think it cost like $2 to charge there. And so what you're going to see here is just some pictures driving through from BC to Alberta, heading into Jasper, and the first supercharger is there, and the rest of the way to Prince Albert was a breeze. Mostly you'll see different clips there where I'm supercharging, and then once we get to Prince Albert it gets interesting after that. Alright, so for this part of the drive we arrived with 18% in Jasper, and we charged up to 69%, basically just followed Tesla's trip planner all the way to Prince Albert, and that's what you're going to see for the next number of clips here. So pretty straightforward there, and I got up to I think 259 kilowatts from the Tesla supercharger. Alright, so for this next section we drove from Jasper, Alberta to Edson, Alberta, and you'll see in some of the video clips here it starts to get quite smoky from the wildfire smoke. You'll see on the screen there, it's a screenshot of what we received on my cell phone. It's like a wildfire emergency alert. Anyways, and then we arrived with 25% charge in Edson, and we charged up to 95%, which is what it recommended we do because it was going to route us all the way to Vegreville next. And so that's what you're going to see here. Alright, so we're here in Edson, Alberta. Just last bit of charging up here. You can see forest fire smoke is everywhere. From 0 to 10 on health rating, 10 being the worst, 0 being the best. This is a 10 plus. Can barely breathe here. Starting to feel sick, and your lungs start to fill up. Did get an emergency alert when we're on the highway. You can see, I don't know if the camera picks it up, but a little bit of ashes falling from the sky. Alright, so we're just pulling into Vegreville, Alberta to supercharge on our trip, and you can see it's still quite smoky. So right across the top of the province, from Edson all the way to Vegreville, at least it's smoky the whole way. Alright, so at this point we arrived in Vegreville, Alberta. We arrived with 7%, I think it was, and we charged up to 80%. Let me just double check that. Yeah, so we arrived with 7, we left with 80%. That's what the Tesla supercharger route planner told us to do, and the next stop would be Lloydminster, and we'll see some video clips approaching there. Alright, so we're here in Lloydminster, and you can still see all this forest fire smoke.
and all in northern Alberta up in smoke.
All right, so we arrived in Lloydminster. You're going to see there that we arrived with, I believe it was 31%, and we charged up to 82%. Next stop would be North Battleford. And the smoke was still there. It wasn't as thick as when we were closer to Edmonton, but it was still there, and you'll see that in the video clips. And you'll see the red pillars as we cross over from Alberta into Saskatchewan.
Look at these big, huge thingamajigs. My goodness. I think we might need a wide load. Gigantic spikes. I mean, hello. That's the biggest tractors I've ever seen in my life.
All right, so we finally arrived in North Battleford, leaving Lloydminster, arriving in North Battleford, and we arrived with 22% charge and charged up to 77. Next stop would be Prince Albert, and that would be the last supercharge for the day, and then a long 350 kilometer drive after that.
So we're here in Prince Albert, charging up. Gonna have to go to 100%. According to this, I'm not sure. Doesn't think we're gonna make it, but of course the projection on this graph, on the energy graph, was related to the speed we've been driving up till now. But of course, we'll be driving the speed limit, so it should be good. Should be good to go.
All right, so at this point we have charged up to 100%. We've left Prince Albert, and we've got our 350 kilometer drive to the Pas, Manitoba, and there's no chargers in between, so careful planning required. You're going to see here on the screen, the navigation system in Tesla is red, and it's showing I'm going to be like minus 4% or even more. In other words, I won't make it according to its projection, but it does adjust eventually according to the speed that I drive and road conditions. You're going to see a bunch of video clips as I get closer. Interesting things happen.
Alright, so we're past Nipawin, and now we can see here it says I'll arrive in the Pas with 17% buffer. Sliding this thing over once, what's interesting is if you keep your current drive's watt hours per kilometer at about, say, 172, 173 or lower, and I'm down to 168, generally speaking, your projected range is not going to go lower. It's going to stay, or you're going to gain range. So you want to look at that watt hours per kilometer number and adjust your speed to that sweet spot so that your projection, like on this graph, stays at what it says it's going to be. So just a little tip. One more quick video clip. Now we're getting 165 watt hours per kilometer. Nothing's changed. We're still doing the same speed, etc. So the only thing that really could have changed is, I feel, is the wind. So I think back behind us when we were losing range, the wind was a lot higher. It's kind of blowing and pushing the car, and a bit less efficient wind drag. And so I guess in that condition you'd want to slow down until your watt hours per kilometer are the low 170s or lower. So just a note. We have 114 clicks to go until we get to the Pas.
All right, so at this point in the video, we originally had a buffer projection of around, I think it was like 15 or 17% that we would arrive in the Pas with, and that was before we hit the gravel, and that's because we were driving slow. Once we hit the gravel, progressively our watt hours per kilometer got worse, anywhere from say 168, and it popped all the way up to like 195, 199, especially when we got closer to this junction that you see where we're turning, and we headed north towards the Manitoba border. We were drastically losing range, and so we just had to drive slowly, at least 10 to 15 kilometers under the speed limit, and I guess the efficiency on gravel is not very good. So take that into account and leave yourself plenty of buffer if you're going to drive on gravel road. And we saw the same behavior on the way back, and it was even a rainy day when we came back through there, so you had to be really careful, give yourself a lot of buffer.
All right, so we're just transitioning here to pavement. Manitoba, welcome. Literally that sign there.
Aww,
There's like a small little thing, wasn't a big one.
that's dumb.
So, yeah. So I'll just take it slow here until I look at our watt hours per kilometer and see. That says we'll arrive with 4% buffer. All right, we're basically pulling into the pot now. We made it with 8%. And had to do a bit of hypermiling because of the gravel.
Now
Efficiency
down
went
left
way
onto
down.
3rd Street West.
But we're good to go. We made it. That's what matters.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Just a couple points of summary. When you are driving in an area where there's no chargers and you're going for a long distance, make sure you don't freak out just based on what the Tesla projection is saying. It makes its assumptions for what you're about to drive based on about your last 50 to 100 kilometers. So if you were driving 10 or 15 or 20 over the speed limit, it assumes you're going to do that going forward. So in order to get more range, drop your speed, anywhere from 10 to 15 kilometers under the speed limit. You will gain some range there, especially if it's windy out. You don't want to fight the wind. The aerodynamics is important. Also, when the traction is poor, like on gravel, make sure you account for extra buffer for that. Like I said, the Tesla app said I would have 17%, and in the end, with me controlling the speed and all that kind of thing, I arrived with 8%. So give yourself an extra 10 to 12% at least. And if it's in the winter, even more. You're gonna have to be really careful. You might have to turn your heat down, slow down, all that kind of thing. And in a pinch, make sure that you make backup plans. Bring extra chargers so that you can plug in at somebody's house in an emergency. So anyways, hope this video helped, and have a great day.